Hi there, Zam here with Nerd Nation, and I'm going to be doing a review of Young Rock Episode 2 On the Road Again. Now, I forgot to mention last week that the whole premises of this show was in 2032, Dwayne Johnson will be running a presidential campaign. This is all fictional, of course, and he's being interviewed by the absolutely fantastic and amazingly deadpan Randall Park. So some of the things Rock was talking about at the beginning of the show was how he had to do a little bit of shoplifting to, impress the girls, to basically prove that he was rich even though he wasn't. It's hard to imagine, like the Johnsons were not at least reasonably well off considering, their lineage from mum and dad, but nevertheless he still had to shoplift to impress the girls. So this particular episode is set in the year 1987, so we're talking about Rock's teenage years. So we're not doing his childhood period, and we're not doing him as a young adult. And we first start off Rock basically telling and talking about his dad, Rocky Johnson, saying that how he was still trying to relive his glory days in 1987 because he was coming to the end of his best years. And we see a match between him and Ric Flair, which was pretty cool. And I think he beat Ric Flair in that particular match. But Ric Flair himself, whoever they cast, looked more like Dolph Ziggler. Later on in this, we see him having a match with Roddy Piper, and Jesus Christ, that guy looked like Roddy Piper. But not impressed with the with the Ric Flair casting at all. So after the match, and we see Rocky Johnson in a gymnasium basically talking about his best moments to some of the other gym rats in there, and he also gives his son a phone call, and it kind of gives you an idea of how Rock had to live his life as a young person with his dad, because even though his dad was not totally out of his life, he did see his dad a reasonable amount. His dad was always on the road, always working, so he couldn't see his dad as much as he would like to. So when it came to parenting from his dad, he had to call him a lot. And he gave him pep talks about how to get the girls. Now, Rock's idea of trying to get the girls is to basically say that he's rich, and he was doing a lot of shoplifting, as I mentioned earlier. And whilst he's already dressed up and ready to go to school and try to pick up the girl of his dreams, he tries to get on the school bus, but the school bus driver doesn't think he's a kid and tells him that this is a bus for kids only, and he says, I am a kid. And then the bus driver says to him, you're a pervert, and then drives off. And the funny thing is, Rock's mate is on the bus too, and he doesn't intervene to fucking say anything, which is ridiculous. So we now cut to Rock's mum, and she has to try and make some extra money, and so she decides to be a cleaner for a rich woman. Now this rich woman's quite lonely. She hasn't had any friends since she was divorced, and she's just basically throwing a lot of her first world problems onto Rock's mum, who's also trying to clean the house. And eventually Rock's mum loses her shit a little bit with her and says to her, listen, your problems are not real problems. What I have are real problems. Paying bills, trying to get, like all the poor people problems that a lot of us have. Those are the real problems. Some of her first world problems could never amount to anything what regular people have to deal with. So that kind of put the rich woman in her place. We do get back to the rich woman a little bit later because she does bond with Rock's mum, and they do have a moment which is pretty cool. But now we're going to cut to the Karens. This is the most funniest part for me because in the last year or so the name Karen is being used negatively towards women who have an issue with people for the sake of it, and they tend to be mainly middle-aged white women, so this name Karen, not a good idea. I know that it's a play on Heathers from the Christian Slater Winona Ryder movie from back in the day, but this didn't turn out too great. But nevertheless, the Karens have come to the diner Rock works in, and this is Rock's opportunity to impress the girls, or press the girl he wants to go out with. They're wondering why a rich kid, because Rock has said that he's rich, he's lied about it, is working in a diner, and he says he doesn't need the money, he's doing it for character. I would have said that too if I was in his position. And yeah, he does a flex. Like he's trying his lines, and he does a flex where he pops out his fucking biceps, and he makes some stupid noises, and you think to yourself, oh my god, he's like ruined any chance he has of going out with this girl. But no, she's impressed, and she decides to go out on a date with him. And he says to her, you know what, I'll take you somewhere really fun. We'll have a great time. I'll take you, my dad's a wrestler. He knows all these wrestlers you saw at WrestleMania 3 and stuff like that, but they briefly talked about WrestleMania 3. And she's like, yeah, she's game, let's go see a wrestling match. So that's what they decide to do. As I mentioned earlier, Rocky's dad, he's like reminiscing about the past, and he's still doing that in this episode midway through. And then we also cut to Rocky's mum, who is now bonded properly with this rich lady, and one of the things they have come together with is watching Sally Jesse Raphael. I never knew that lady had such an influence amongst Americans. Now, back to Rock's date. It starts to fall apart a little bit when he realizes that this wrestling match, is not going to be held at some stadium. It's going to be held at a flea market. Some think his dad was always a hype machine, and he was even hyping and selling to his own son to a degree that his son thought that this was going to be an arena, and no, it's at a fucking flea market. But he's pissed off about that. His date, who's a rich young girl, doesn't like being around all these degenerates, but nevertheless, Rock soldiers on, and after confronting his dad about why he didn't tell the truth, his girlfriend wants to leave, his dad wants him to stay, and Rock decides to stay. And credit to him, such character, because somebody new comes into your life, he's trying to determine how you live whilst you've been with your parents your entire life, and you don't let your fucking dick roll your head. He stayed, and I love it. And after that, his date, had no choice but to stay, even though she wanted to leave. And it was the best thing that she did stay, because she then was watching the wrestling match and she really got into it. And Rock was trying to basically explain certain things about how wrestling works in the storylines in wrestling, but she didn't understand, and she thought it was all real, not staged. I don't like to use the F word. So she got into it. She was really pumped, and they had a really good day at wrestling. So much so that she was happy to go on another date with Rock. So after all of this, Rock staying true to his family and not bowing down to the pressures of this girl. This girl respected him enough to still go on another date with him, even though her head's a little bit in the clouds. So the following day, and this is now the end of the episode, Rock and his girlfriend, they're I say his girlfriend now, his date. They're at school and they're talking about what happened the previous day, and then some kid comes along and starts taking the piss out of what the area they were in, the flea market, all the poor people and stuff like that. And we even got some negative moments from Karen as well, who said it was disgusting and stuff like that, which wasn't too great. But then the other kid still kept on hampering and taking the piss out of their date, and also said that wrestling's fake. That triggered the Rock. He walked up to the kid and knocked him the fuck out. And then after he's knocked out, he goes right into his face and says, "Never say the F word." Episode ends. Great stuff. Now, there were some moments in the middle of all of this with Randall Park and the Rock, and once again, more credit to Randall Park. He's so fucking good. Like the interactions him and the Rock had was so brilliant. And there's some other guy called Sandy as well, who's like butting into interview, and Randall's getting pissed with him as well. Oh man, one of the best things about WandaVision, I'm quickly going there, is that it's really brought to light two amazing American gems in entertainment in Catherine Hahn and Randall Park. Long may they have more stuff to do in television and cinema. From what I'm being seeing from them now, they're fucking amazing. This show is great. Just on the year 1987, no other stuff after that or before that. Did like it. And the good thing is, this is not really leading anywhere to anything spectacular. This is just snippets and bits and bobs of Rock's life. I mean, we know where it leads. The guy's going to be one of the most famous people on the planet. So we understand where that goes. We're just following the journey here and there. There's no necessary lead up to anything. It's just life, and it's great. So I can't wait to talk about episode 3. Please leave a like. Don't forget to share this. And also comment as well. This is a great show, and I know there's some people out there who want to talk about this, to talk about it with me. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.